just want to say from the youngest to the oldest, I wish you a happy birthday. I remember the time when we threw cake in your face and we went on a boat ride. It was amazing. I wish you a happy birthday. Bye.
Happy birthday, John. Can't believe you're 80. I guess I'm the person who's watching this, your friends, family, etc., who's known you the longest, right? I was 2.5 when you were born, so you were my baby brother. And growing up, I don't have a very good memory. I have a couple of incidents. I do remember coming down the stairs and going into the room, and there was a cradle thing there, and this baby crying, and I wouldn't let anyone in. I think I was jealous, but that was you. Yeah, and I don't have, like I said, a very good memory, so I can't recall things instantly, and I just think that our childhood must have been pretty even-keeled, because that's why nothing dramatic seemed to happen. The drama for me was when I was probably 7 and I was in school. John had just started school, and I was called into the headmistress office, and I was told to take my brother home because he had disgraced himself. And he's waiting outside. So I go down, and as soon as what's he disgraced himself for? What can he have done that I've got to take him home? Anyway, I saw he had little short trousers, the uniform, and he had an accident, and it was all running down his leg. I'll say no more. And then I dragged him home all the way, moaning and groaning, dropped him off at home and ran back to school. It was so embarrassing, moaning at him. And then John didn't talk very well when he was little, and I do remember that. And Mum we used to have to translate for him. Very late talker. Well, as you know, all there assembled know John, he doesn't shut up. He's certainly made up for it. He found his voice, and he loves now to argue and that kind of thing. And then he didn't like school, and when I think I was working, and I was home one day, and I was out and about, and I bumped into him, and what are you doing? Weren't you in school? And he mumbled, and I said, you can't do that, John. You got to go. Like, tell Mum or Dad. And I said, I'm not telling on you, but do something. Anyway, he didn't. So I don't know. My dad had to go up to school. Was asked to go up to school, see the headmaster, and he went. He said to John, like, is there anything I should know? No. Well, he was more embarrassed, my dad, actually. He said, if I'd known, I would have, because he did stick up for us, so I'll say that for him. And so he had, the headmaster said, I think you might just as well take him out of school, because he doesn't come in. When he does come in, he disrupts the class because he's funny, he thinks he's funny, and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so we say he got expelled, basically, just to embarrass him. And then he got a job in a machine shop, and then he got a job in the ABC putting jam in the middle of the donuts or something silly. But he found his little niche, and he did quite well in the stationery, and starting his own business and raising 3 kids and a house and everything. And he would write. He loved to write, and he would constantly. He was a family scribe, really, keeping us all in touch in a way, because back then the phones weren't always available. And I've clipped a lot of those. There were stories about obviously what's going on in his life, but mostly they were stories. And I have kept them. I haven't kept every single one, but I've kept a number because they were just funny and sweet. And I'm going to bring them home and give them to him, see if he remembers. We'll have one night going through them. That'd be funny. So and other than that, he'd come to America, and he had one story. We lived on the lake, and he was like, he loved it, and he used to take the canoe out, etc. And he was all packed up to go home. Joe was over, him and Joe, and I'm just going to have one little last paddle around the lake. So we give him go on, John, you're all set, you're all dressed, ready to go. Took some wine, and I gave him some grapes and some cheese and crackers, and he was going to paddle all the way around. And we were just sitting out on the deck, just watching, half watching, and all of a sudden, where's John? He's in the water, the canoe is upside down, and he's holding on to the canoe. And I don't think I don't think he's a very good swimmer anyway. Anyway, so Brian jumped in the little paddle boat we had and goes out to rescue him. And of course, he's, oh, thank you, Brian, thank you. And he's laughing and that. And then Brian's pedaling towards him. And then Brian, as he's reaching out, Brian's pedaling backwards, which went on for a little while. And the air was blue. They killed each other. He called him a lot of names. But it was funny. We just dried him out and sent him back. I think the shoes, we gave up on them. And they're probably floating around here somewhere still, but no. So yeah, he's always stayed in touch, and he's a lovely man. He really, truly is. I'm very proud to call him my brother. He's very kind. He's very funny. He's very sentimental. He's a wonderful father, wonderful grandfather, and I'm happy that his Jenny and all the kids are doing so well. And he's very, very proud of them all. And he loves them to pieces, which is how it should be. And I know they love him back. But he makes me laugh. He loves those discussions where he can just rattle on and on and on. And it gets me going every time. But anyway, happy birthday, John. See you soon. Love you to pieces. I do, really. My little baby brother. Love you. Bye.
Memories of my cousin John. Well, we grew up 2 doors away from each other in Kentish Town. What do I remember? Instances. My brother Chris, who's a couple of years younger than me, when he was about 2 or 3. Johnny dressing him up as a guy, putting him in the pushchair, went to the end of the road to the high road and was asking for penny for the guy. Arriving at school on prize giving day, him with a black eye because he'd been in some sort of scuffle before. Then as he got older, if he was there for dinner and you had roast potatoes or anything, you dare not leave your dinner on the table to get up to do something, because you knew when you came back all those potatoes and half your dinner would be missing, and he would have a bulging mouth professing it wasn't him. He knows how gullible I am, and he used to wind me up something terrible, really terrible. When we moved to Wickford, we still ended up in the same crescent, and sometimes he and Joe would come over on a Sunday night and we would play Trivial Pursuit. Now, he couldn't believe that Joe and I could win, and he's a terrible cheat, and he would never profess that he could lose at anything. But one particular instance I remember is when Callum was about 14, I think, came knocking on the door, I think it was a Friday night, saying, could Richard come over? Mum's threatening to kill his dad because he was decorating. He'd taken the radiator off the wall without draining it, so there was water everywhere. He always wound me up because he knows I'm gullible. He'd have me believing all these tall stories, honestly. I mean, he was often, I don't know, funny, laughable. He would come over and ask me when he was on his own in St Clair's Crescent. He would ask what was for dinner today, because we'd often make him a dinner. And then he would wind me up something terrible. I'd tell him to go home, so we would pick my Daily Telegraph up, put it under his arm and rush out the front door and pinch me paper. Having said all that, he is such a lovely person. I look on him as a second brother. When Richard and I have both been ill, he's always been there, always on the phone, offering to give lifts. I mean, he really can be a lovely person. He is a lovely person. So have a lovely birthday, John. You're very lucky to have Jenny in your life now, and we all wish you the best. Happy birthday. Love you. Bye.
Hi. I've been asked to make a few comments about my cousin John, whose 80th birthday is going to be fairly soon. And thinking back, I think the first real recollections I've got of him is when we were living in Gaisford Street, Kentish Town, a few doors away from each other. And I must have been about, I don't know, 7 or 8. And John came up with this wonderful idea. It was Guy Fawkes time, firework time. He came up with the wonderful idea of getting some money, the scheme to get some money with Penny for the Guy. The only problem was he wasn't prepared to make himself a guy. He actually used me as his young cousin as the guy. And I can remember we ended up down the end of Gaisford Street opposite the cinema, waiting for the punters to come out. I was dressed up as a guy with a mask on and bits of straw down my sleeves and everything else, and told to keep very quiet and just lay still while John collected in the money. Unfortunately, I don't remember ever seeing any of that money myself. Anyway, that's my first recollection of John. We then went on to, over the years, to do different things. And one of the things we used to do quite often was when we were both living in Rosemary House in Leighton Road. We had this pastime, I would call it, of playing football in the front room, in his front room. And the idea was that we'd have a rolled up socks as the ball, a goal at each end of the living room, and we played football to such an extent it might go on for an hour or so. And it would make a lot of noise, obviously, and there would be complaints from the neighbours. I can remember the neighbour coming up from downstairs, knocking at the door and saying, "What the bloody hell's going on in there?" And going to the door all sweaty and that. So nothing, I don't know what you're talking about. And he said, "Well, my bloody light's been swinging on the ceiling. What's going on?" And obviously we lied and didn't tell him what went on. And then it carried on from there. And on one occasion, the glass in the display cabinet that was in the front room that his dad was very proud of, one of the panes got broken, and John had the idea of taking the pane out completely so that he wouldn't know it was broken. So that was quite good, actually, until a few weeks later when his dad came round to cleaning the glass in the display cabinet and found that in one place there was no glass. He wasn't happy. We then moved on to a little bit of my later life when I was at secondary school, I think it was, and John introduced me to betting on horses. Not very successfully, if I remember rightly. We used to go to the betting shop and quite often coming out as losers. But it was an experience and it carried on in my life for a while. Luckily, I've given that up now. Yeah. And then I suppose as John was coming to the end of his playing career as a footballer, I joined his team. We used to play, I think it was in the Southend League. And it was where I first experienced walking football. They've come up with this concept of walking football recently. Well, I can tell you now that was invented by John, because his turn of speed had gone by then, and I can quite remember that whenever he got the ball, he would slow the game down drastically. So I think he could say that he was the first one to come up with the idea of walking football. And I've been carrying on together. I mean. And of course, throughout our lives, we've both experienced, I think is the word, the highs and lows of, well, there wasn't many highs, but many lows of being a Spurs supporter. And we've had to support each other over the years, as we've always said, oh, it's going to get better, it's going to get better. It never seems to. But coming to the end of this, really, I've been thinking about it. I have to say that I feel I'm really blessed to have had John as my cousin. And I suppose over the years, I've thought of him more as the brother that I never had. John's a raconteur, a scribe, an artist, but most of all, he's a great bloke. And I'm so pleased as well that he's found a lovely lady to share in later life the years ahead of them. Cheers, John, and up the Spurs. Take care, mate.
Hello, John. Happy birthday. Greetings from Shropshire, or as you call it, the back of beyond and in the middle of nowhere. I think we first met when you were about 8, but we didn't really get to know each other until you were a pretty young teenager, and like most teenagers, you didn't actually like talking to people or being with people. In fact, when your older sister, who was by then married and had 2 children, came to visit you whilst you were still living with your mum and dad, then basically you didn't get out of bed until well after 2 o'clock, and reluctantly and not very happily enjoyed meals together. But by the by, at that stage, I looked up to you. You were twice as tall as me, so I had to look up to you. Didn't have any choice in the matter. And you were also 3 times my age, because I'm Rob, for anybody who doesn't know me, and I'm your oldest nephew. I'm pleased to say that I'm 70, so if that rubs in how old you are, then that makes my day. What I would like to say is thank you for actually looking out for me when I went to the Gulf War, and whilst I was bombing Iraqis, you were actually bombarding me with letters and tales of things that you'd been doing, and they were actually fantastic. And thank you for that. I really appreciate that. It made me laugh, and I shared them with lots of other people, and it made them laugh too. So thank you for that. We've seen each other since, and now we're at the stage where we don't see each other so often, which is very sad. However, I do wholeheartedly still look up to you, and that's not because I'm smaller than you anymore. In fact, I haven't been smaller than you for about the last 60 years. But put that aside, thank you very much for being such a funny bloke and for cheering me up on so many occasions. And I know you've got that magic ability to do that for lots of other people. So happy birthday, you old bugger.
You've been a great mate over 60 years, and we've had some good fun, good laughs. Worked together, played together. I don't think we slept together, but maybe we did, I can't remember. 1 or 2 funny instances, going back quite a few years. Remember that time we had a really good session at the swimming pool when we left the office? You and Jack and me went up for a swim. I think it was probably in company time, which made it even better. And they had a diving board there, I must remember this. 5-metre diving board, it was quite high. And me being a clever dick and a show-off, because I was a good diver, I had to go up the top and dive off. And did 2 or 3, and I think I encouraged you to try it. Jack said no, he didn't want to know straight away, but you thought, yeah, maybe I can. And we got up there, and it obviously at the top there, 5 metres, you're looking down and you're frightened your life out of you. You're not used to heights. But there's everybody looking now, and you think, oh, what do I do? And I said, John, you're not going to dive, don't dive, but just jump. Anybody can jump. He went, yeah, all right. So I said, I'll go first. And I went off and splashed into the water, looked up, and you're up the top there. And I said, come on, jump. So what do? You jump. But not like anybody else. Anybody else would have kept their legs together. Not you. You've jumped down from 5 metres with your legs wide open, and of course you've damaged your nuts. Funny at the time. I'm laughing about it now. You came up to me, and you were so angry at me because you hurt, and I made you jump. And you got hold of me, and you pushed me under the water, and you kept me down there. You had to drown me. It was only Jack that pulled you off. It didn't matter to me. I was okay with it. See the funny side. But Jack had to pull you off of me. Otherwise, you might have been up for manslaughter or murder or anything else. Remember that time? Good times.
Hello, Mr. Weaver. It's your American son, Martin Banks here. Wow, you are 80 years old today. What an amazing milestone that is. It's also hard to believe that I've now known you for over 30 plus years, dating back to our very first meeting in good old Greenville, Tennessee. Ever since I first met you, you've always asked me to call you by your first name. So today, on your special day, I will address you as Sir John, aka Whizwham. We were also tasked to come up with one memorable moment that we've shared together. And over the last 30 years, there have been several. But let's go back to 1998, my very first trip to England. You treated me to my very first English Premier League soccer game. We got to see Tottenham Hotspur play Fulham. I remember that very vividly. Number one, I was so amazed that you can actually bet the game at the actual stadium. You, myself, and Callum, we each placed a wager on that game. We had incredible seats. We sat second row midfield. What an unbelievable experience. I got to see players like Sol Campbell and David Ginola up close and personal. I'd only previously seen them on the PlayStation FIFA game. I remember the Fulham fans going crazy the entire game, standing, singing, chanting, rocking back and forth. I believe Tottenham won that game 3-1 or 3-2 at the end. None of us, unfortunately, won our wagers. I also remember after the game, you and Callum being really, really hungry and had your heart set on getting some chips. And I was wondering, why do these guys want potato chips after such an amazing sporting event? I remember leaving the stadium and we were walking to the other side. As we were walking, I remember the entire Fulham section was walking directly toward us. It felt like 1,000 people, all still singing and chanting and going crazy, even though they had just lost the game. You and Callum were wearing your Tottenham scarves, your hats, and Tottenham gloves. And instead of turning around and walking the other way, we decided to walk straight through this crowd because you guys had your heart set on getting these chips. You guys are walking through. The whole time, I was shitting my pants. I just knew we were about to get pummeled by all these Fulham fans. Lo and behold, we made it through unscathed and landed at your favorite chip spot. Lo and behold, it ended up that chips is actually the English word for American French fries. And let me tell you this, those are some of the best French fries or chips that I've ever had in my life because we made it through alive. On a serious note, Sir John, I've always considered you like family to me. Your sons, Chad, Cass, and Callum, are like brothers to me. We also, from my family to yours, we want to wish you a very, very happy 80th birthday.
Happy birthday to
Cheers.
the most charming man in all of England.
Salud.
Johnny Weaver, happy birthday. I hope you're having a lovely evening. Your third favourite son got in contact and asked for a video of memories of times spent with you. Fortunately, you grew up on the same road, so got quite a few of those. Some of the early favourites were trying to break your garden fence with a football. You weren't particularly happy about that. But I think the memory that comes back to me a lot is just playing football with you, and in particular at Sobel Centre. I mean, hats off to you. You played some pretty intense games. A lot of the intensity was down to you, actively encouraging violence on the pitch, constantly hearing you giggle when people were hurting each other. But you did great there. I mean, there was a lot of young guys there and you still kept your own, so hats off to you. That was great, but my fondest memory was probably the drive home after. We'd stop and buy some beers, and then you would coast home, occasionally putting in gear and driving a little bit, but it was a long drive, but it was a great drive because we got to just chat for about 2 hours. It probably took to get home, but it was just nice just getting to just chat about nothing and everything, and you're just a good person to talk to. Probably one of my favourites, to be honest, and that's probably my fondest memory, just chatting in a van, fearing a little bit for my life, but at the same time just enjoying just a chit chat. So yeah, thanks for those. Happy birthday, enjoy it, you're a great guy.
Happy birthday, John Weaver. I can't believe that you're 80. I can't believe it's 25 years since you first started kicking lumps out of us at the Sobel Centre and then moved on to become the Lockers superfan and all-time best time waster. Hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope at this difficult, dangerous and worrying time for the world that whatever words of wisdom you have will be heeded. As I remember before the Iraq war, you were polled by a couple of people for presumably a polling company out on the street, and they asked if you thought we should invade Iraq, and you said no, and they said why not, and you pointed out there was only 3 of you. Wise words. Happy birthday.
I first met John on the sidelines of Lockers game many moons ago. He'd come and occasionally watch Cass and the rest of us run around trying not to be sick. He used to drop these little truth bombs in at the end of the game, lads, you were shit, you deserved it. And once he even wore the hallowed green shirt as well, lasting a good 5 minutes until he had to go off injured. But on that basis, he is eligible for some awards. So firstly, I give you oldest locker. Secondly, probably wisest locker. And thirdly, definitely, alongside Ash Mills, slowest locker. My favourite story, though, was when we did one of our photo shoots. This one was for Puma. We got given a lovely green kit. We all got Puma Kings. I got a shiny white pair, absolutely no good for a centre-back whatsoever. But then we'd had some photos taken. Now, bearing in mind, right, it's dark, grey, grim, desolate day, end of sort of winter, really horrible day. John had turned up with his umbrella to protect himself from the cold and the grim rain and so on. For the photos, we did some action shots, and then we did a team shot. Now, in comes John from the sideline. He's got his brolly up still, but he'd also put on this enormous pair of ludicrous dark sunglasses, particularly given how grim the weather was. Honestly, he thought he looked like the absolute nuts. However, what he actually looked like was a love child of Steve McLaren and a mafia hitman. Absolutely amazing. John, the Wookiee salutes you.
Hello, John Weaver. It's Sir Geoff Hurst here. Now, I won the World Cup in '66 and scored a hat-trick. But people will mention it, of course, now and then. But do I have regrets? Just one. I never played alongside John Weaver. A mean, moody and magnificent. A player so talented, even referees gave up. Your tackles were always late, but at least you apologised. Of course, I have no idea who you are, John, but if the stories are true, and I hope they aren't, football missed a legend. 50th birthday, mate. Go easy on the cake. No two-footed tackles. All the best from me. Have a great time on your 80th.
No! Happy birthday, Grandad. I have no idea what in the world story that I'm going to do, so I'm just going to tell you this. I always love it when you take me out to a restaurant, but actually it's McDonald's and you don't have Mum and Dad. And I always like it when you take me shopping. The best times ever. And also my favourite time when we went to McDonald's is when we kept on feeding the dog.
Happy birthday, Granddad.
Happy birthday, Granddad.
Happy
John.
birthday, Granddad.
I hope you have an amazing 80th birthday with your friends and family. So I just wanted to say a couple memories I remember with you. I remember when we were heading to the Tottenham Stadium, when we were going to play Southampton. We were in that van and you started beating me up. Yeah. I also remember the time it was like Christmas time and you were reading us books. It was real fun to hear you read. And the last thing I remember is when we played soccer in the garden together.
That is indeed beautiful memories. Well, John, we wish you all the best. We can't wait to see you. There is so many memories. But in one way, there is certain memories. I'm so happy that I only heard of them. I was not present, like the boat situation. But overall, everything that I can remember is just amazing. Other when you start your quizzes, those are, I think, a memory that I will never, ever be able to forget. But what can I say? Regardless, everything is amazing. So we wish you an amazing birthday, all the best, and we cannot wait to see you, right?
Right.
And big kisses, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Love you.
Love ya.
And one more thing. I remember the time when we went to the Tottenham Stadium, and you told the elevator guy that does the elevator, you said to him, "Does your job go up and down?" It was so funny.
Only John. Well,
I
yes.
also remember the times when we used to do those riddles.
The riddles, yes. That's when he'd give us the quizzes.
Yeah.
He's the quiz master.
The quiz master.
Yes. Well, we miss you very much, and happy birthday.
Love you to the farthest planet and back. And again.
And again. And back and again. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, John. Well, it's an honour and a privilege to be your favourite daughter-in-law. No, seriously, I can't even say the number of times you've helped me out with Lily and the dog over the years. And it is lovely to know you're always on the end of the phone when I need anything. Which brings me to one of my favourite memories of you, which is I was walking along the Broadway one day and I saw you ahead of me. I thought, I'll just give him a quick call because you were too far to shout. See what he's up to. Gave you a call, watched as you took your phone out of your pocket, pressed end call, and put your phone back in your pocket. Happy birthday, John.
My favourite John Weaver stories. I'm going to go with, this is a very early one, but the time you gave Veronica, our neighbour, some packets of powder that she thought were kilos of cocaine to look after while you were expecting the police to pay you a visit. And she did, and she took them in and hid them for a few hours, even though she would have gone to prison for a very long time. That was funny. I really like the story of that Christmas day when the Colemans had had their Christmas dinner and we had the spare key, and as soon as they went out for a walk, me and you crept over there and ravaged their Christmas dinner, and like just full of indigestion and laughing our heads off while we just stole all their food. And they may only know about it when they see this video, but that was bloody hilarious, that one. Yeah, what a bunch of pikeys. I love the story. This is a really simple one, but I was in Tesco's in Pitsea one time, the one where Dad got his jacket from. And I was in the fruit and veg aisle and I was just getting in whatever the hell it was. And I got hit on the back of the head by a massive potato. And I turned around and I couldn't see who it was, but it was my dad. He almost knocked me out with a massive potato in the back of the head. Just laughed my head off. There's obviously my France trip, my failed France trip, where I got the dates wrong and Dad made me lie to Mum and the rest of the family about how much fun I had on this trip. And then he blackmailed me for like 2 weeks into doing anything he wanted me to do around the house, which was, yeah, like a character building experience, but really quite funny looking back on it. Really stitched up at the time. And the other little one is, anytime you're out and about in a shopping centre or department store and a kid run by, he'll just flick out a leg and trip them up and then just act like he never did anything. Just brilliant, just brilliant. So that would do. All these stories made me laugh. It was really good fun to kind of work out what was my highlights for me. But I don't have many memories of my dad which aren't funny. So thank you very much for being a wonderful father and a great friend. And I really hope you enjoy your 80th. So thank you, Dad.
Hello, this is Chad here. I forgot to do a video for my own father's 80th birthday. I'm very silly and I will do better next time.
Happy birthday, mate.
Happy birthday, mate.
Hope you're doing well and you're having a great time, and look forward to seeing you soon. We were sitting today talking about the different memories and times we spent together, and I was trying to sum up one for a little story to share with you, and I couldn't do it. There's too many. Instead, we came up with a poem, 80 different memories. Stop farting. 80 different memories and moments that we've shared together throughout the years. And we're doing it with the soothing ballads of Rod Stewart and Forever Young. Stop it. You need to stop it. All right. Working down Whitford Market, selling picture frames, driving me around for all football games. Eye injections, questionable Godfather selections. Dog Walker, Johnny Walker. The New Hampshire Flume, American football in the new room. Walking Aisha down the aisle to meet her groom. Leather jacket from Tesco, membership at Costco. Losing your keys, meeting Bridget in the Keys. Store shutters in Cosmel and giving them a slam. Whiz-wham. Unloading the boxes from your car. Holding court with my mates at the bar. The 40th birthday flying the plane. Going to Paris by train. Holidays in Spain. Not bringing any booze to Casablanca. Telling Paul Baldwin's dad he's a wank. Staying when you could walk out the door. Saying goodbye in 94. Picking up Martin off the floor. Meeting us on the Jack the Ripper tour. Quizmaster. On the boat with your niece yelling faster, faster, faster. Your meditating chairs. Going to bed riding on your back up the stairs. Starting Alderman Plus. Having compassion for people less fortunate than us. Sneaking in at Hever Castle. Opening my eyes when visiting Brian, Cheryl, Sharon and Stevie Castle. Alan Long, Pat Fiddler and Macon Dantry. Asking us to pick up the leaves that fell from the tree. The lift attendant's face when you asked him if his job's up and down when he's working in the elevator. Kicking that gator. Stories about your youth. I like hearing it even though you don't like to say. Losing you in Biscayne Bay. Redbridge, Pell Common. Giving me a look and telling me, come on. Endlessly waiting for Tottenham glories. Interesting history stories. The Miami Beach Food and Wine Festival and too much drinking. Ignoring the noise and using independent thinking. Walking Chad home drunk on New Year's Eve. Being there even when it's easier to leave. The Colemans and Uncle Chris. Funny jokes and taking the piss. Storytelling. Moving to your Leigh-on-Sea dwelling. Useless but thoroughly interesting facts. Going to Brighton and over to Jack's. Puzzles. Getting old with aching muscles. Your excellent writing. Teaching me to do the right thing. The old computer in the office that never saved my homework. Going to Fred Collins to where you work. Hotel in Germany. Coming to visit me in Tennessee. Growing a ponytail when you were 50. Life gets better at 20, 30, 40, now 50. Taking the high road and holding no grudge. Carnival Cruise Line and fat old judge. Getting lost on every holiday in the car. Vegas weekend, gambling at the bar. Football in the garden and breaking the fences. Listening and helping people come into their senses. Carpenter's Arms roundabout, cutting through the petrol station. Spending time with my kids on American vacation. Snapshot betting. Go in the garden with the apple tree netting. Wanting to learn from space and the universe. Moorings, but the ability to converse. That picture in the Hockley Community Centre with you at the front doing a 26 mile. Sitting there nodding your head with a smile. Out till 5 in the morning on the dance floor. Love you, Dad. Happy birthday. And to many, many, many more.
Love you, John.
Love you.
Love you to the moon and back.
All right, let's do it again. Yep, I'm ready. It's on.
Happy birthday, John.